clear to the Iranian regime that they will face mounting financial isolation until they fundamentally change their destabilizing behavior. Iran's leaders must cease support for terrorism and end destructive regional activities immediately. They must stop ballistic missiles and abandon their nuclear ambitions if they seek a path to sanctions relief. We are watching the Iranian regime with laser focus. If they try to evade our sanctions, we will take action to disrupt their activity time and time again. The maximum pressure exerted by the United States is only going to mount from here. Companies around the world need to know we will be strictly enforcing our sanctions. Thank you.
That will time for a few questions. Let's go to Sky News. Cordelia Lynch.
Hello, this is a question for Secretary Pompeo. The President invoked Game of Thrones when he was discussing sanctions. Do you think that was appropriate?
This administration has been consistent from, frankly, President Trump's campaign to the first day he was inaugurated about our intention. We understand that as the Islamic Republic of Iran presents a threat to the United States of America, and we are determined to stop it. And, you know, much has been made about this Game of Thrones. Qasem Soleimani responded, and I haven't seen any of you comment on that. This is a man who has American blood on his hands. He's killed American soldiers, and that's not funny. And the actions that the Islamic Republic of Iran are taking are not about little silly things that people get wrapped up here in Washington, D.C., but about very serious matters that impact all of Europe, all the Middle East and the world, and our young men and women who are in harm's way today.
Thank you, sir. Next question is going to be Asahi Shimbun, Yuko Lanham. Yuko? All right. We're going to move on to FA. Beatriz Pascual Macias.
Hi. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was wondering, what would you say to the European countries that were expecting to be in this list of countries that are not going to suffer the sanctions? And what kind of relation have you with them? What are the conversations regarding this topic? Thank you.
You want to talk about it on the financial side, Stephen?
Well, I don't think we've ever said that it relates to the European countries that they'll be exempt. I think quite the contrary. We've said that we expect them to honor the sanctions. Having said that, there are certain transactions that they can continue to do, whether they're humanitarian transactions or specific trade in the restricted accounts. And again, let me just emphasize, as I said last week, we will make sure that humanitarian transactions are really going for those purposes. So this is not about hurting the people of Iran, but we will not let money be diverted to humanitarian purposes and then put for terrorist activities.
And just to follow up, with respect to the relationship, we've been very candid, clear with all of the European countries. There are more than 3, we should note. Many of them are fully supportive of what it is that we are undertaking. They have taken a different approach with respect to the JCPOA, but it is also something that the whole world should know. European businesses have already made their decisions. They've decided not to do business with the Islamic Republic of Iran, and so we're very confident that the sanctions regime that we're putting in place will be effective.
Al Jazeera English, James Bays.
James Bays from Al Jazeera English. You talk about the destabilizing behavior of Iran in the region. How does that differ from the behavior of Saudi Arabia?
So let me just go through the list. Under
Good morning, everybody. It is November 5th, 2018, 7:45, and we will be getting started here just roughly in just about 15 seconds or so. Right now, you got some talking going on in Washington, some catalysts and so forth. But we're going to focus today. We're going to go ahead and slide right into the ESE mini correlation to SPY, SPX, very important. For every 10 points we move here on the ES, you're looking at about $1 in the SPY. And pretty much correlated. I think last time I checked at SPX, you could just pull up both charts when they're running. I think we're only about a point off, maybe a point and a quarter or so. Anyways, looking at targets to the upside and downside. And targets to the upside, remember, are correlated with supply and Fibonacci and trend. So we would expect price to get to these targets and then turn around. And to the downside, these are correlated with Fibonacci and demand, and you could see prices bounce here. Okay, line in the sand today is 2723.5. Currently, we're sitting basically right on the line in the sand. Probability suggests that the day could be okay. Just this is my opinion. Usually, when we open up around the LIS, I think most of you know it's usually a pretty boring day. But with a couple days coming in before elections and so forth, could get a little volatile. So may be pretty fun. So we got our week targets up here coming in around 2816 to 2866 to the upside, and to the downside could see 2601 to 2576. Short term, looking at targets to the upside, if we can hold support here at 2723.5, looking for our first target coming in at 2751. T2 2774, T3 2837. To the downside, 2676, T2 2641, T3 2601. Don't forget the bigger picture. We are currently in a down range. Okay, price has broken the DTL. However, on Friday came into our trendy edge here, and as you can see, pulled away. We're going to go ahead and look. So for right now, just my sentiment, my opinion, it's going to be a pretty patient day once again until we could show some kind of movement above the LIS or below the LIS. Go ahead and take a look at our box trades this morning. Now, we'll tell you, scanning and looking at all the different indicators of using supply and demand, and everything we use, the day is kind of shaping up. How can I put this? Just like I was just talking about the LIS, kind of shaping up to be more or less a neutral day, and just kind of waiting until price can get to either my box down at the bottom or the boxes at the top. This could be pretty neutral for me today. We'll see though, right? Sentiment could change very quickly. Here on Apple, nice little drop here. Again, have some puts 2 weeks out, but looking to see if we can get into 202, 198, 193, and honestly about 188, even though I got 190.48 here. We'll see what it can do. I'd like to see a push up into last week's cash close and up into the recent 50, 61.8 of a range. And basically that puts us, the box could be this entire area from 207 to 210, looking to see for a possible short here. But again, gauging the overall market's intensity to see what's going on there, looking at your histogram, RSI, whatever it is you like to look at. For me, basically making this pretty simple once it gets up here to my box. I am short biased in Apple until we can get down into some institutional demand down here and so forth. But again, just being very patient, see what happens here. So we got a box here, and the cash close around 207.40 by 210.42. Okay, and again, targets 202 to 198. Amazon. Now these charts are going to look a little bit different than the one over here on the left. These are color coded on the candles here. And, I was looking for T1 at 1645, and actually, when I opened up this morning, we were around 1672. If price does come into the box here, again, looking for a short, but because of the day, the way things are setting up, a little bit more patient. When we get there, can be aggressive and just have a tight stop here. Looking for T1 at 1645 and 1628. The box being 1672 by 1685. So you're looking at about a $13 risk here. Depending on premiums and so forth, I may just short shares. All right. So looking at GS, we went over that last night, sent this out on Twitter, also here in the channel in the room. And you guys can check this out if you're interested. For myself, wanted to see price come up into the 229, 20 level into 230. Had some notes here. Let's go over to the charts channel really quick. Check it out on GS. So the bigger pick is really the key here. Key numbers for me is the base above 232.2 could give us that continued move into 237, 245, or 241, which is some upper supply there. And price below 227, I'd be looking for a gap fill at 220.40 roughly. All right. I also have my DTL here, this red line. So if I'm short this, and we could get up underneath or we can drop below here, then I'd be moving my stop into my DTL, which is around 227, and then looking for the ride down into 224 and 222, 221. Okay. Looking at Google, this one's a pretty easy setup. We're pretty much neutral here until one of these boxes can be met. 1051 is a gap fill on the daily. And it also set up perfectly right around the trendy edges and so forth. And then you got some pivots in there. So possible looking to get long if we can get to the bottom box. And possible short if we can get up into 1086. Right now you can see current prices right in between, which is going to make me very neutral. But I like the setup, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this here for a box trade today. Lulu, I believe they have maybe some earnings coming up in a month or so. What I like here on the bigger picture is we're hooking, and it looks to be wanting to break out. Interested in getting long at 141.84 by 139.51. Only about $2 of risk here. Looking for a move up into trendy edge here at 145.20, and then a move up into 148.63. This is where, for myself, I would be cautious. Letting go of my position into this upper supply of 148.63. Netflix here. This one had an upgrade this morning. Don't read into upgrades. I don't. Just to be clear, typically I want to know if they're upgrading, are they putting me into supply? Are they putting me into a Fibonacci level that I should be cautious about? In this case, again, looking at candles, watching the histogram, I didn't put in here, but I'm just watching. I'm more or less short biased. However, there's a line in the sand here at 317. Below 317, I'm short biased. Above, if we can hold a base, then I'll be looking to get long to get back into the wedge here up above around 327. For right now, again, short biased. If we stay below here, looking for T1 at 302, 297, and all the way down here at 292. This pretty much sums up the box trades for today. We have a lot of stuff on watch. I'm watching RH, Facebook, AMD, JPM, GS, Netflix with an upgrade, LIN with a downgrade. IRBT is kind of interesting. They have an upgrade as well this morning. So just going to be scanning quite a bit this morning and watching the ES, our overall our main motivator here, right? Looking to see what the market wants to do. And like I said earlier, if we pop this down, so I want to give you the bigger picture. If we come over here to a 15-minute candle, I typically trade futures on a 5-minute candle. So let's actually look at this. Okay, and let's get this ready. Our white line is representing our LIS, and then you have your cash close down here in the purple. So I'm going to give you guys more of a short term, right? So some people are very fast, scalpers, so forth. What I'm looking here, just for some numbers, we have this nice little uptrending, lower, higher lows and higher highs here. And then we pulled back probably about 50 to 61.8. This is where we use our methodology, no matter what time frame we're looking at. So let's go ahead and go from the pivot low here to pivot high. And you can see here when we are in talk about this all the time, when we are in an uptrend, pulling back down into the 50, stop below the 61.8, take a trade here, nice little move up here. Pretty simple, right? stocks go up and then stocks go down. You just got to learn how to measure them, read patterns, and so forth. So for today, looking at this very short range here, once we get started in the morning, if I were to scale things down and say, okay, as soon as we get started, what's really going to motivate me is a price can build above 88.7% of this high. And if it breaks down below the 618, so 27.19, then I'm definitely looking to stay short as long as we are under the line in the sand. Okay, if we were to flip these around, okay, I got a couple things going on here. I have a little bit of supply right in this area. This is probably going to match up with my 76 and my 88.7. So if I were to measure to the top side here, higher numbers because we're in extension mode there, pivot high to pivot low, you can see here, yep. So you got some supply that comes in right around 88.7. Up to the 100, and so I'm cautious here. Price needs to build here at 2728 before I get really interested in my equities. Now you have to understand when watching the futures, you're talking about a plethora of stocks, right? And so it all correlates. There's this synergistic move that the boxes that I show on the equities, whether they're to the downside and upside, our futures are going to, once they build value here, are probably going to look at our box trades on our other screen. Okay, so just remember that as this moves up into this area, most likely what I'm looking at here is prices in Amazon, right? Prices in GS, prices in Netflix. Let's go over here. Maybe Google. Google's kind of been lagging. But the price is going to show, we're going to get up here to our upper boxes. This is where people start getting excited, people as in us retail traders. I'm no different than anybody else. I get excited, I get emotional, those things happen, right? But this is where it's easy to manipulate on this scale. All right, so you start seeing green, you start getting excited. What I know is within a range, 88.7 typically holds such a strong, I don't know why, it tends to turn around here for a little bit. So I'm just very cautious until I can see a base above this level. Okay, so again, short term, little shorter thinking here method. I needed above 88.7 to hold above there for today. And then the 618 again coming, I believe, down here around 2722, 2721. So anyways, those are my numbers. And basically, if you have any questions, just reach out to me. Had a great weekend. It was great here in Florida. It's been really nice. Great weather. Enjoyed a birthday. I won't say how old I am, but I'm looking forward to this week. And overall sentiment for me is just a little cautious going into this election week. There are some great odd stats out there. You can find that on Twitter. But again, it's all past performance. And, our biggest thing here is we have an edge using edges. And when looking at the daily, just really quick, for all of you in here, if you weren't able to hear me on Friday, it's pretty straightforward. If you're looking at the daily, uh, most importantly, the bigger picture here, we are starting off the week. Ignore everything to the right. We're starting the week here. T1 being our upper trendy edge from last week, and then we got our lower trendy edge right here. So let me just point those out. All right, so these are really going to be kind of our line in the sand for the week. If we can build value above 2751, I'm really looking forward to building support into or building value into our weekly target to the upside. But as long as we're pulling back, I'm targeting our mid edge. Okay, so around 2685. And if we break this and stay under, then I'm targeting here at our weekly edge at 2620 to 2601. It's that simple on the daily. All right. Once you bring these candles into 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, don't forget the bigger picture. Understand what you're trying to do. If you're trying to make money every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes, that's okay if you're scalping getting out. But making decisions on a smaller candle when understanding the bigger picture can sometimes be very, very bad for your account and your health. All right. So if you guys have any other questions, please let me know. Just type here in the main chat. Let's see, watching RH for a short into the sell zone, or are you looking for it to break above the sell zone daily time frame? Let's go ahead and take a look at RH really quick. So I sent this out last night. Now this is just me. I really like what I see here on the chart, but you know how fast that could change, right? So here we go. This is looking at the daily. Came into some demand. And what I see here is, let's see, we had our downtrend, so we just got boom right here. Now we start to hook, which is really nice. Okay. Now typically what we do here, Omer, if you're watching this, there's two different ranges we can definitely trade here. I'm gonna go ahead and paint this orange for neutral. We had this range here, right there. So we could fib this, okay, from here to here. And then looking for, as soon as we turn around, did we hit the 50? You could tell between this mark and this mark, price has already come into the 50, 61, 8. Okay, so for a shorter time frame, this is kind of cautionary. Let's see if we can get around the 50 and 61, 8 of just this range right here. Okay, once we break out of here, obviously we can start narrowing down, or not narrowing down, kind of broadening our targets to the bigger range. And so what does that look like? We can come over here and just measure from pivot high to pivot low. You can see price here is coming into the 88.7. Okay, so just kind of like what we just saw on the LIS, can price get above and hold 126, right? We'll see. We'll see. But one thing I do like is that we just broke out basically about 2 days ago from the DTL, my DTL, yours could be different, downtrend line here. And I love my edges here, looking for a target here at 129. And we have some supply that comes in at 131. If we were to measure from our next range, which is here, just depending on what your income needs are, whether you're looking to make money on the monthly or the weekly or 30 minutes, is, for me, is how I pick out my range here. So if we were to go from here, from a bigger range, longer term swing trading, is price suggesting a move into 131, 132. All right, at least up into the 50, because again, we look for in a down range the nice hook, looking for the 50, but price can't get to the 61.8. Overall, in a down range, being short-minded though. So this is where the shorts would come in, price moving into and maybe up to the 618. Stop here and then look for, you got 1 day here, 2 days, maybe 3 days get you into here, and then a possible pullback just to kind of consolidate, do its thing here at the bell curve for a couple days, and then we go into next week and look for a base above here and then the 88.7, something like that. Okay, or it just breaks down, one of the two. So we'll take it week by week, range by range. This is what I'm looking for on here. And is there some supply at T1? Yeah, there's definitely some supply. It's in supply right now on a daily. And so that's why, again, using this range, we're going to be a little bit cautious. Okay. These will be fun. I'll be concentrating on the daily candle for definitely for our age here. All right, so far, again, pretty boring unless this thing can really get moving above the line in the sand or dropping below the line in the sand. Just going to be taking it pretty easy, just focusing on our box trades this morning and see if we can get some movement. All right. Anything you guys want to look at besides those? Pretty straightforward. I know everybody wants to wake up and we're going to have these killer moves, right? Let's look at a couple things, a little bit bigger picture, right? Let's look at Netflix on the daily. Okay. Remember, this was a short as soon as we broke out from our uptrending line that we had for a little bit, broke out of the box here, and you could easily go short, came into demand, I believe, on a monthly. Nice push up here. We do have a gap fill. Okay, sometimes, when you're just concentrating on the smaller candle, you could probably be looking at my targets and stuff saying, what the heck is this guy talking about? Don't forget to look and stream through, your monthly, your weekly, your daily, 4 hour, and so forth, get a bigger picture of everything that's going on. That way, when Netflix is not going up, right, most people like the pass line, right? I talk about that in craps table. Everybody wants to play the pass line. You get that one guy that comes over, one girl that comes over and plays the don't pass line. The probability is the odds are higher. You don't get paid as much, but you win more, right? Win more over time. So here, don't think that we can't just, start to pull down. We got 3 up days here. We got a gap fill on Netflix at 292. Doesn't mean it has to get there. All right, can come in 88.7% of a gap, especially when we've already had some oversold conditions. Okay. So line in the sand again, the bigger picture, I want price above 317.79. Looking to get back up into and above, you could say your monthly midline here at 329, 330. If not, looking for the gap fill. Pretty easy stuff. And then someone brought up CAT, so we'll go ahead and take a look at CAT here. Now this one is still got my ER work up on here, so just let's go ahead and take a look at here. You can see price came down into, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 last week. This is why these edges are so cool. So remember, they're correlated with supply and demand. You can see price came down into, but no matter looking at this, the edge supported for the week pushed up into our mid edge, was a slight pullback. When we're underneath our edges here, we take caution. When we're above the edges, we look for support. And then price is moving back down. Our upper edge here, dog, is at 130.50 basically. But and then your 50, your mid edge. So just let's just look at it from this way. I'm going to draw this out for you really quick. So you have your upper edges here. You got one here. You got your lower edge here. This is pretty simple. You have some support here. You have a gap fill here. So just make sure we pay attention to that. And then you got your mid edge here. For me, looking at if price were to come back, I would expect it to bounce. It's already used support here at this edge. And now we're going to pay attention to the mid. Okay. So we want price to stay here above this line. So for the weekly, my line in the sand is 122.70. If it can hold 122.70, building value, I'm looking for targets upwards 130.56. This gap looks like it got pretty close there. 128.62 looks like pretty close to that, 128.62. However, again, 1, 2, 3 up days. Just look for pattern. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just helps with your probabilities, right? How many days do we usually go up? How many days do we usually go down? That might be kind of hard to do considering October sucked. Sucked as in if you were a bull. And if you were bearish, it was amazing because look at, how many down days you had. It was amazing, right? So now maybe you don't get as many down days. Maybe you get more up days. Just something to think about, okay? But for now, just watching price action. Again, gap fill. Looking for price to hold 122.70, 122.60, and then targets upwards of 130.94 here. On a monthly, I love looking, even bigger picture. We're supported by 117.63. Looking for an overall target in a couple months of 135.54. Okay, this one hooked around as well. So let's go ahead and look at that methodology. We're going to use, it depends on what range you want to use. We have 2 different ranges here. So I want to show you this as well. So we got from here to here. All right, and then use this line again to here. So, we're not going to target this range, right? I don't think CAT's going to move into 160 this week. So let's concentrate on our range here. And then let's go ahead and measure here. Okay, and you can see once downrange started to hook right into the 50. Okay, stop above the 618. This really right here is a great one, dog, for 127.90 or so. If we can't break that, man, this is my line, right? As long as we stay under there, just keep shorting. until price comes into our edges here that we just talked about. Let's look at Apple on the bigger picture. Just want to show you guys this. Okay, let me go to the weekly. Okay, have demand down here. Ideal entry is 187. Would love to see Apple get down into these levels. Most likely, this is when Catalyst and news out there, sorry, just say news, is going to be out there talking a bunch of crap, saying that, Apple will never be innovative, sales are down, whatever the case is, who cares? Price will come down into here. It's great to then watch for a little bit of buying coming in, and then ride that wave back up to the 50. So for right now, if we could just get this to continue down, it's going to be amazing. Price into 202, 198, 193, 187, all of those are scaling targets. Again, have some puts out a couple weeks from now. And it was funny. So on Friday, I jumped in the IRA and I had 17 seconds. I was trying to put on a nice position on the put side of Apple. I just kept looking at this chart and I'm like, man, geez, technically, this thing is just for all my different methods I use and looking at everything I see, it's just like, why would it go up, right? So it can temporarily go up, but I don't see for right now, unless we're going to break out. Let's go to the daily above the DTL again, and it did that on ER day and give you a quick $3, like probably within 5 minutes, which was really cool. Right here, broke out that DTL, came up into the trendy edge, and you knew, hey, I don't want to be in it here. And now, this thing, look at it, it's just trapped in here. And the separation from my DTL to here is so wide, and that's what I want to see. This is a nice short here, and current price coming into, let's see here, 15 minutes. It's had a little bounce going on. I'm actually going to set this up real quick. Okay, see what it can do. Ended there. So I might give retail myself an opportunity to short here, depending on how well the market does when we open up. So, and that's 205.20 to about 206.20. It's only about $1 risk. All right, so if you guys don't have any other questions, want to make it really easy, market gets open here in about 17 minutes. Looking forward to trading with everyone this week, and look forward to your comments and anything you may want. Please just reach out to me. I appreciate it, and thanks very much.